Greetings, I'm Felicity, and at 37 years old, I've learned a thing or two about life and people. Let me share an experience that, at the time, completely shook me to my core, and how I handled it swiftly, because I don't take nonsense from anyone. Most people would be surprised to learn that, before all of this happened, I had a good relationship with my mother-in-law. We got along well, there was always warmth and respect between us, and for a while, everything seemed perfect. My husband, Frank, was my everything. He was my partner, my best friend, the one I thought I could always count on. Life with him was good, and I never saw any red flags. Sure, we had the occasional argument, what family doesn't, but in general, everything felt right. There was nothing to indicate that a storm was brewing on the horizon. Now, let me take you back to the vacation that changed everything. It started out as a fun idea, a trip meant for Frank and me, but then I started thinking about Tiana, my widowed sister-in-law, and how lonely she was. I decided to invite her along, thinking it might give her something to look forward to, a change of scenery, some joy. I even paid for most of the trip, covering the flights, accommodation, meals, and activities. All Frank and Tiana had to worry about were their personal expenses. My hope was to create lasting memories, strengthen our family bond, and give them a chance to experience something truly special in Spain. At first, everything seemed perfect. I couldn't wait to surprise them with the trip. I stood in our living room, holding the plane tickets, my heart pounding with excitement. Frank and Tiana were both a little confused at first, but when I explained the plans, their reactions were just what I'd hoped for. Frank's face lit up, and he smiled that big, warm smile of his. "Felicity, you truly are something else," he said, as if he couldn't believe I'd gone to such lengths for all of us. Tiana, who had always been more reserved, smiled softly and said, "Oh, my sweet Felicity, you've outdone yourself. This is beyond anything I could have imagined. I'm so touched." I felt a wave of pride and happiness. Their reactions confirmed that my plan was a success. This was going to be the trip of a lifetime, the kind that would bring us closer together. But as often happens in life, things didn't go as planned. We boarded the plane to Spain, excited and eager for 2 weeks of adventure. The first week passed in a blur of vibrant city streets, delicious food, and new experiences. We explored the historic landmarks, ate paella at every opportunity, and danced to the rhythm of flamenco music. I thought everything was going perfectly. I thought our bond was stronger than ever. Then, on a Monday morning during the second week, I woke up to an empty hotel room. I couldn't believe my eyes. Frank and Tiana were gone. No note, no bags, no sign of anything out of the ordinary. Just an eerie silence. I couldn't understand what was happening. Where had they gone? Why was I alone? I grabbed my phone and frantically called both Frank and Tiana. Their phones went straight to voicemail. Panic set in as I realized I had no idea where they were or why they'd left. After what felt like an eternity, my phone finally buzzed with a call from Tiana. I quickly answered, hoping for an explanation. "Tiana, where are you?" I asked, my voice shaky. "What happened? Why did you leave without telling me?" Her response was cold and distant, far different from the warm, kind voice I was used to. "Felicity, I had to take your call," she said, her tone flat. "We left." "What do you mean, you left? Why?" "I just couldn't stand being around you any longer," she said, almost casually. "I tried to make it work, but I couldn't. After a week, I had enough. Frank's on his way to the airport with me right now." I was stunned. "What? How could you do this? What did I do wrong?" There was a long pause before she spoke again, her voice tinged with frustration. "I don't enjoy your company, Felicity. I didn't want to say it, but now I'm done pretending. We could handle a couple of hours together at family gatherings, but 2 weeks, that was too much. I had to leave." I could barely process what I was hearing. How could this be happening? I'd never seen this coming. My mind was racing, but all I could manage was, "But why didn't you tell me? Why couldn't we talk about it?" Her reply was blunt. "I just can't stand you. You're annoying. It's as simple as that." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. I was in shock, my mind spinning. I had no idea how to respond. I didn't know what I had done to deserve such cruelty. I thought we were close. I thought we understood each other. I tried to reason with her, but nothing I said seemed to matter. The conversation ended, and I was left alone in that hotel room, heartbroken and confused. How had things gone so wrong so quickly? That's when I called Frank, hoping he might give me some clarity. When he finally answered, His voice was detached, almost as if he didn't care. Frank, what's going on? Why didn't you tell me? Why did you let her leave without saying anything? His response was cold, just like Tiana's. I didn't want to get involved. She needed to go. And honestly, I don't really want to be here anymore either. I don't know what to tell you. I was beyond words. It felt like the ground had shifted beneath me, and I was left standing on unstable ground. But I knew one thing for sure, I wasn't going to let this slide. I had spent too much of my life being kind and accommodating to others, even when they didn't deserve it, but this was different. I wasn't going to let Frank and Tiana treat me this way and get away with it. They thought they could walk all over me, but they were wrong. So, I did what any person with a spine would do. I took control. I called my old friend Arlo, someone I knew would help me get justice. I shared my pain and frustration with him, explaining how Frank and Tiana had turned their backs on me for no reason at all. Arlo, ever the loyal friend, didn't hesitate for a second. You've got this, Felicity, whatever you need, I'm here for you. And that's when the plan began to take shape. I knew that Tiana and Frank needed to feel the consequences of their actions, so, with Arlo's help, we came up with a plan to give them a taste of their own medicine. It wasn't about being petty, it was about showing them that their actions had consequences. We executed the plan flawlessly, and when Frank and Tiana finally saw the mess they had created, they were frantic. They had no idea how to fix it, and I couldn't help but smile, knowing that they finally understood what it felt like to be caught off guard by betrayal. It was a moment of triumph for me, a reminder that I didn't have to just take what life threw at me. I could fight back, and I could win. Let me tell you a story about a time when I decided to take control of my life in the face of a betrayal that rocked my world. My name is Felicity, and I'm 37 years old. You'd think I'd learned most of life's lessons by now, but this one caught me off guard. You see, up until that point, I had a solid, loving relationship with my husband, Frank, and even my mother-in-law. We had our disagreements now and then, but everything felt good, until it didn't. It all started when I planned a vacation for Frank and me. I thought it would be the perfect escape, just the two of us, but then I started thinking about Tiana, my widowed sister-in-law. She had been lonely, and I didn't want her to feel left out, so, I decided to invite her along. I'd pay for everything, the flights, accommodation, meals, so they could just enjoy the trip. It was supposed to be a bonding experience, something special, a dream vacation to Spain, sunny days, exploring the streets of Barcelona, indulging in delicious tapas. When I shared the news, I couldn't have been more excited. I gave them the tickets, hoping to see joy on their faces. Frank's eyes lit up with surprise and happiness. Tiana, on the other hand, gave me a soft, almost reserved smile. She seemed touched, but I didn't think much of it at the time. We boarded the plane, and for the first week, everything seemed perfect. We roamed the streets of Barcelona, ate amazing food, laughed, and shared stories. It was the kind of vacation I had always dreamed of, a time to create lasting memories with the people I loved. But something was off, and I didn't realize it until one fateful morning. I woke up in our hotel room to an eerie silence. Frank and Tiana were gone. No note, no sign of them, nothing. I immediately called their phones, but they went straight to voicemail. Panic and confusion set in. I searched the room, hoping to find a clue, but there was nothing. I was alone in a foreign country, and I had no idea what was happening. Just when I thought I couldn't feel more lost, my phone buzzed. It was Tiana. Relief flooded over me for a second, but the conversation that followed shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. Tiana, where are you? What happened? I asked, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. Her response was cold, distant, and completely unexpected. I couldn't stay another minute with you. I left, she said, as if it was no big deal. I was speechless. What do you mean? Why? I didn't want to be around you anymore. The trip was nice at first, but I just couldn't handle it any longer. She replied with a strange indifference that left me reeling. We're on our way to the airport now. It felt like the ground was slipping beneath me. How could she say that? After all I had done for her, for Frank, how could she just leave me like that, without any explanation? Did I do something wrong? I asked, hoping for some sort of answer. She didn't hesitate. Yes, you did. You've been annoying, and I couldn't pretend anymore. This trip was too much. I tried to be polite, but it's clear now that we just don't get along. Her words hit me like a slap in the face. I couldn't understand it. Everything seemed fine. so why was she suddenly acting like this? I don't get it, I said, my voice trembling. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why didn't we talk about this like adults? But her response was just as cold. It doesn't matter, I'm leaving, and so is Frank. We can't be around you any longer. I didn't know what hurt more, the fact that she'd left without warning or the fact that Frank had known about her feelings for some time and hadn't said a word. My own husband hadn't been honest with me. He'd known his mother felt this way and hadn't told me. It was a betrayal on top of a betrayal. I asked to speak to Frank. His response was just as distant. I didn't leave because I don't like you, he said, his voice flat. I left because my mom needed me to take her home. That was it. No apology, no explanation, just an excuse. And when I asked him why they didn't talk to me about their feelings, he stayed silent. It was clear to me that this wasn't about me. This was about something deeper, something unspoken. I was devastated, but I refused to let their actions break me. After all, I'd been through worse in life, and I wasn't about to let this ruin me. I spent hours thinking about everything that had happened, trying to make sense of it all, and then, I realized something. People can be petty, they can be jealous, bitter, and sometimes, they just hate for no reason at all. And this, I thought, was a lesson in self-preservation. That's when the idea came to me, a way to take control, a way to make them feel the weight of their actions, and I wasn't going to hold back. I called my childhood friend, Arlo, who always had my back. He listened patiently as I poured my heart out, and then, when I explained my plan, he didn't hesitate for a second. He was in. The plan was simple. Tiana's house was always spotless, and I knew just how to make it look like chaos. We were going to fill her house with sawdust, lots of it, the kind that gets into every nook and cranny, making everything a mess. It would be the perfect message. We used Arlo's construction company's excess sawdust, and I told him where to find the spare key hidden under the potted plant on Tiana's patio. I had everything planned out. It was time for them to feel what I had felt, betrayed, abandoned, and alone in a foreign country. Once the deed was done, I waited eagerly for the results. Hours later, I received a message from Arlo. He'd sent pictures of Tiana's house. It was a mess, sawdust everywhere, covering every surface. The house looked like it had been hit by a storm, and I couldn't help but laugh. I felt a sense of satisfaction, but I knew this wasn't just about revenge. It was about standing up for myself, about not letting people walk all over me. When Frank called, his voice was full of panic. Felicity, it's awful, Mom's in hysterics. I let him stew for a moment before revealing what had happened. It serves you both right, I said. You left me all alone, without any explanation, so now you get to deal with the consequences. The rest of the conversation was full of confusion, frustration, and disbelief. Frank and Tiana tried to blame me, but there was no real proof. They knew I was behind it, but they couldn't do anything about it. In the end, I stayed in Spain for another week, enjoying my vacation while Frank and Tiana scrambled to figure out what to do. They couldn't stay in their house, so they had to find a hotel, just like I had to stay in a hotel alone, with no one to rely on. When I finally got home, I knew that the message had been received loud and clear. I had taken control of my life and my fate, and while I wasn't proud of what I had done, I knew it was a necessary lesson. Sometimes, people need to learn the hard way, and when you've been wronged, it's okay to show them that there are consequences.